Beginning, a dangerous joke. The galaxy had thousands of rulers, but only one was known as the Silent Queen. Queen Ilaria of the Strangest dominion ruled nearly a third of known space. Her empire stretched across dozens of star systems, her fleets could silence rebellions before they began, and her name carried a quiet weight in every council chamber in the galaxy. And yet, strangely, almost no one had ever seen her face. Official portraits existed, of course. Massive holographic statues stood in the capital world of Astrixis Prime, but they were stylized, distant, almost myth-like. Rumors constantly spread about her appearance. Some said she was beautiful beyond reason. Others said she hid behind ceremonial masks because she was horribly scarred. In the outer colonies, people told far less respectful stories. And, unfortunately for me, I happen to be one of those people. My name is Darren Vale, a freelance cargo pilot who had spent most of his life hauling supplies between half-forgotten systems. My ship, the Starhopper, was older than some of the stations I docked at, and my mouth had a bad habit of getting ahead of my brain, which is how I ended up insulting the queen of the most powerful empire in the galaxy without realizing she was sitting right next to me. It happened on a trading station called Port Meridian, a spinning metal hub orbiting a dusty orange planet at the edge of Dominion space. The kind of place where smugglers, merchants, mercenaries, and travelers all gathered in noisy, crowded bars to forget their troubles for a few hours. I had just delivered a cargo shipment of hydrocells and was enjoying my well-earned drink at the station's largest cantina, the Rusted Halo. The bar was full of chatter, music, and flickering neon lights. A holographic screen behind the counter displayed the latest Dominion news broadcast. And there she was. Queen Ilaria's official portrait hovered above the bar, her long silver hair, pale skin, and regal posture frozen in a carefully composed image. Someone at the next table scoffed. "Look at that," the man said. Another speech from the Silent Queen. "I swear she never shows her real face." Another voice chimed in. "Maybe because it's ugly." A few people chuckled. I took a sip of my drink and leaned back in my chair. "Honestly," I said loudly, "if I ruled half the galaxy and still had to hide behind fancy portraits, I'd assume I wasn't exactly easy on the eyes either." More laughter spread around the table. "Yeah," another trader added. "Maybe she's some ancient alien monster under all that royal fabric." I grinned and shrugged. "Hey, if she ever walks in here, I'll apologize. Until then, I'm sticking with my theory." That's when a calm voice spoke beside me. "An interesting theory." I turned slightly. A woman had taken the empty stool next to mine. She wore a simple gray travel cloak, the hood pushed back just enough to reveal dark hair and steady eyes. Nothing about her looked particularly royal. No guards, no jewelry, no extravagant clothing. Just another traveler, by all appearances. She ordered a drink quietly. Then she glanced at the hologram of Queen Ilaria floating above the bar. "You think she's ugly?" the woman asked casually. I shrugged. "I think if someone refuses to show their real face to the galaxy," I said, "there's probably a reason." The woman raised an eyebrow. "And what if the reason has nothing to do with her appearance? Then what?" I laughed. "A curse? A secret twin? Galactic acne?" She didn't laugh. Instead, she studied me with an expression that made me slightly uncomfortable. "You speak boldly for someone who has never met her." "Well," I said with a grin, "if she's anything like that portrait, she looks a bit too perfect, which usually means the real version isn't." The woman took a slow sip of her drink. "Perhaps," she said quietly. For some reason, the way she said it made the hairs on my arms stand up. But I ignored the feeling. If I'd known who she really was, I might have chosen my next words more carefully. Middle, the queen without a crown. We ended up talking for nearly an hour. Her name, she told me, was Lyra. She claimed she was a traveler passing through the station on her way deeper into Dominion space. At first, the conversation stayed light. Stories about star systems, trade routes, strange alien cultures. But eventually it drifted back to the Queen. You seem to have strong opinions about her, Lyra said. Well, I replied, I've never been a big fan of distant rulers who sit on fancy thrones while the rest of us haul cargo through pirate territory. That's a common criticism, she said calmly. You defending her? I'm curious about your perspective. I leaned back, folding my arms. Look, I said, I'm sure she's a great strategist. Her fleets keep the peace. But people treat her like some mysterious legend. And that bothers you? A little, I admitted. Power shouldn't hide behind mystery. Lyra looked thoughtful. What if the mystery protects more than it hides? I frowned. What do you mean? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she asked a different question. If the Queen walked into this room right now, she said, what would you say to her? I chuckled. Honestly, yes. I'd say she should stop hiding and show the galaxy who she really is. Lyra smiled faintly. Even if you didn't like what you saw. I shrugged again. Hey, if she's brave enough to rule half the galaxy, she should be brave enough to handle a little honesty. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she did something strange. She removed a small silver ring from her finger and placed it on the bar. At first, it looked ordinary, but as it touched the metal surface, faint blue symbols appeared along its surface, ancient Dominion glyphs glowing softly. I felt a chill run through me. I recognized those symbols. Everyone in Dominion space did. They were the royal crest. My smile slowly disappeared. Where did you get that? I asked carefully. Lyra looked at me calmly. It belongs to the Queen. My stomach dropped. Wait, I said. You're joking. I rarely joke. I stared at her. Then I looked back at the hologram of Queen Ilaria above the bar. Then back at the woman sitting next to me. For the first time, I noticed something. Her posture. The calm confidence in her eyes. The quiet authority in her voice. No guards. No crown. But suddenly, everything about her felt powerful. My throat went dry. You're not saying what I think you're saying, I whispered. She tilted her head slightly. You said you would apologize if the Queen walked into this bar, she said. I felt my heart pounding in my chest. The bar around us seemed to fade into silence. My voice barely came out. You're her. She nodded once. Yes. Queen Ilaria of the Strangest Dominion was sitting on a bar stool beside me, and I had just spent the last hour mocking her looks. The moment, everything changed. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. My brain scrambled through every stupid joke I had made. My mouth had never betrayed me so completely. Your Majesty. She held up a hand. Relax, she said softly. If I wanted you arrested, it would have happened already. I swallowed. Right. Good. That's good. She watched me with faint amusement. You expected me to be offended. Well, I said nervously. I did call you ugly. Technically, she replied. You said you assumed I might be. I rubbed the back of my neck. That's not much better. She laughed quietly. The sound was warm, genuine. I travel like this sometimes, she said. Without the crown. Without the court. It's the only way to hear what people really think. So, you just wander around the galaxy? Occasionally. I shook my head in disbelief. That's incredibly dangerous. She smiled slightly. Yes. And you do it anyway? Yes. I stared at her. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. That surprised me. Me? You spoke honestly, she said. Most people don't. I blinked. You're not mad. She considered it, perhaps slightly amused. I let out a long breath. Well, that's a relief. But our conversation was about to become far more serious, because at that exact moment, the bar doors exploded open, ending when the Queen was in danger. 3 armored figures stormed into the cantina. Their weapons were already raised, and their armor bore no Dominion markings. Assassins. They had come for the Queen. The entire bar erupted into panic. People ducked under tables. Drinks shattered against the floor. The assassins scanned the room rapidly. One of them shouted, "There!" They had recognized her. Queen Ilaria stood up slowly beside me. For a split second, our eyes met, and I realized something terrifying. She had come here without guards, which meant she was defenseless. The first assassin raised his rifle. I didn't think. I moved. I grabbed the bar stool and hurled it straight into his chest. The impact knocked his aim off just enough. The shot blasted a hole through the ceiling instead of through the Queen. "Run!" I shouted. But Ilaria didn't run. Instead, she grabbed my arm. "This way." She pulled me behind the bar as blaster fire tore through the room. I grabbed a dropped pistol from the floor. "You know how to use that?" she asked. "I fly cargo through pirate territory," I said. "What do you think?" We exchanged a quick look. Then the 2 of us leaned out from cover. 2 shots. 2 assassins dropped. The 3rd tried to retreat. But station security burst through the doors at that moment and tackled him to the ground. Silence slowly returned to the bar. Broken glass covered the floor. Smoke drifted through the air. Queen Ilaria stood beside me, breathing steadily. Then she looked at me. "You threw a chair at an assassin for me." I shrugged weakly. "Well, I figured if I let the Queen of the Galaxy get shot 5 feet from me, that'd be a pretty bad story to explain later." She smiled. Not the distant, regal smile from the hologram. A real one. Warm. Grateful. "You insulted me," she said. "And then you saved my life." "Yeah, it's been a weird night." She laughed softly. Then she did something I absolutely did not expect. She placed the royal ring back on her finger and held out her hand. "Darren Vale," she said. I stared at her hand. "You're shaking hand with me? You've earned it." I slowly took her hand. "Just promise me one thing," she said. "What?" "If you ever mock the Queen's looks again, make sure she isn't sitting next to you." I groaned. "Trust me," I said. "I learned that lesson tonight." And somewhere deep in space, the story of the pilot who insulted the Queen to her face and then saved her life began to spread across the stars.